morning and welcome to the Speed of Cash Part 2. And we're back here with Mike Mylan from Finagraph. And the reason why we're here today is because a lot of you requested or others requested that we do this event again, but this time with a real focus on the purpose, which was, hang on a second, I'm going to fix something here, Mike.
Okay.
There we go. The real focus on the service business. And really what we uncovered in the last time that we did this is we learned that Finagraph had created this cashflowtool.com product, and it led us to a place where we recognized that this is a great opportunity for service providers. And Mike's presentation was a little bit different, and it was great. Everybody loved it, and we got a lot of value out of it. But then the switch kind of flipped, and everybody said, well, wow, what if we could really learn how to use this for our own business? That's why we're back. So we're going to talk about how cash flow can help you as a service provider provide services to your clients so that you can help them manage it. And all the things that Mike's going to talk about are going to be geared towards that very thing, the service provider. Okay, so I am Eric Greenspan. You know me. I'm the founder of 74 Systems, which runs the Ignite program. We also have a little thing called schoolofbookkeeping.com. And we are very excited to have Finagraph and Mike Mylan on with us. We'll introduce him in a moment. I can see his face. He wants to talk so bad, but I'm not going to let him just yet. So I ask you, are you achieving all of your goals? No, of course you're not. You know, we just moved this last week and it was a lot of work. And I'll tell you, some of the goals were to get motion sensors into the garage, the laundry room, and the kids' bathroom so that the lights would turn off, because those are the only things in the house that are not smart. I don't want my kids to have smart lights in their bathroom. I want them to walk in, have the lights go on, and as soon as they leave, go off. And that's smarter to me. Well, that was a goal that I set for myself. And I actually did it, the last one, at 5:30 a.m. this morning, because I'd been going, and I wanted to get it done so I could tell that story. So I'm pretty much done. I got 2 locks installed this morning as well. I'm accomplishing those goals. And now I'm excited for what the rest of the day brings. So make sure you set goals and accomplish them, whatever they may be, so that you can lift yourself and move forward throughout your day. Do you have enough good clients? I mean, look at the smiling face on this guy. I work with Mike and we do some cool stuff, and he's just a joy. And when he needs to get a hold of me and things aren't going right, or he needs something, he's not afraid to ask and I'm not afraid to talk. It's a cool relationship. Make sure you have that with your clients. It doesn't happen right away. When you're just starting, you might have to take some heat with some clients that you wouldn't necessarily love to have. But in this case, I'm in a good situation. It took some time to build our clientele. You'll get there too. And make sure you make enough money, because dental bills are very expensive. I'll leave it at that if you have children. And have a little fun. I mean, this poor guy, all he does is travel. He's got slices of wood, or is that Toblerone? I don't know. Maybe it's pizza. I don't know what's on the wall behind him, but it looks like he's in a woodsy cabin somewhere in where? Oregon, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I'm in Portland. Matter of fact, the Willamette River is right out my window. It's a beautiful day and the city fair is going on. So I'm going to go down and ride the carnival rides and eat corn dogs today.
And have a little fun. I love that. Because you've got to do what you love, and clearly Mike does. Now, before we get started, make sure you maximize your screen. Make sure you can see everything. Find the chat. Can somebody go into the webinar chat right now and answer the following question? Can you hear and see everything just fine? Somebody go in there and do that. I want you guys to find the chat perfect, okay? And then there's also Q&A. Now, Q&A is different. Q&A is where you ask questions. If you have a question and you expect it to be answered here, please put it in Q&A. If you put it into chat, we probably will just kind of glance over it. So we would appreciate you using Q&A for something that requires a response. If you just want to have some fun and chat with the group, you can do that either with panelists or with all attendees. You can use chat for that. It's more open and less restricted. We ask that everybody votes in the polls. We're going to start our first poll right now, which is, are you attending for CPE credit? And we need everybody to answer, regardless of whether or not you are. It doesn't make any difference. We don't know who you are. We just want to know the results. Lots of CPE today. Good. People want to get a jump on the year. And please know that CPE credit's issued automatically. Now, normally CPE credit is not provided except for those that are paid members, but as a service to our Finagraph partner, we are going to provide CPE to anybody and anyone who is on this call today, if you want it. Yay.
Yay.
All right, so as you're answering that, I will introduce this guy. Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, sir?
Well, it looks like I had more hair when that picture was taken.
You know, that's the picture you sent me.
No, I got a nice clean haircut back to my trooper days.
Yeah, I didn't want to make the comment, but yes.
No, hey, you know what? I tell you what, Eric. I mean, as far as I built 10 companies. I teach at banks and the top graduate programs of banking around the country. We build tools at Finagraph that helps lenders work with small businesses and helps advisors, accountants work with small businesses, and small businesses understand better what's happening and make more money. That's basically what we do.
So this cash flow tool that you've recently created, this is a great product. And initially it was for people to be able to keep control and check and manage their cash flow. But what we have found is this is one heck of a tool for partners, our audience, the people that are on this call, to be able to use to add a whole new service for their business. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, you know, basically, I mean, if you're going to invest in a tool, if you're going to use tools with your clients, you want to do one of two things or both things. You want to save time and make more money, right? I think that's what I like to do. And what we're doing is we're doing all the hard work. We're gathering, you know, all the things that you would already do for your clients, 22 to 25 different reports out of QuickBooks, analyzing for anomalies, right? This isn't your standard financial analysis. These are looking for things that if you and I were sitting at the desk, Eric, we'd say, hey, did you see this, right? These are the things that stand out that impact our cash. You know, again, I've built 10 businesses, and if you're like me, I get so involved with the day-to-day working in my business, the thousands of things that I do all week long. Sometimes I don't take that step back and look and see what I created. What's the results? This helps you do that. It's like a guardian angel on your shoulder saying, hey, you just did something dumb, or did you see this? Here's an opportunity. Not only that, we can communicate together. While the computer is doing the system, while the AI or machine learning, whatever you want to call it, is doing the work, we can now talk about it and have a conversation. So now I can guide you to making better decisions before we see them 90 days later in the financial statements.
So we are working on, this is kind of a beta, right? But we're working on a new certification from Finagraph called a Cash Flow Pro. And the logo is under design. We're about to release that. It's going to be something that I'm going to be working with you on in School of Bookkeeping. I have a little surprise for you too. But we want to get that going because we want to help people learn the process, learn how to use a tool, learn how to use it to make money for their business. I mean, cash flow is king, cash is king, cash, cash, cash. I mean, it's all about that. And this is a very, very, very important role. And I feel that that's a very important. I've been pushing this on Mike, and of course he's embracing it, but he's dealing with 1,000 different things and hotel reservations on top of it. Probably a little indigestion after his corn dog today. But at the end of the day, I think it's a really cool opportunity for people. And by the way, I'm going to start another poll. And these are questions that I've created because I want to hear the answers. So this is a question. It's, do your clients ever experience cash flow issues? I just want to know, do they? I mean, come on. Do you work with clients that don't have problems? Yeah, everybody's saying yes. And that's the point. Everybody's got cash flow issues. Why do we have little detectors all over our house for fire and smoke and carbon monoxide, but we don't have one of those in our office that starts beeping when we're going to have a cash flow problem?
Yeah. Isn't that strange? And I'll tell you, it happens so fast, and it happens to the smallest companies and the largest companies alike. I mean, everyone experiences this if they're not paying attention, or they don't have that little bit of alert, a little bit of heads up that something's going to happen in the future. So great analogy. I mean, using a smoke detector, carbon monoxide detector, great analogy.
Absolutely. I absolutely believe it. Okay. So speed of cash 2, again, is about the service industry. And what we're going to do, Mike, do you want me to drive it or do you want to?
It's probably better if I do, because
let's do it like we did last time. I'll let you take control here. So go ahead and share your screen and you can run your presentation.
Why don't we do that? That way, yeah, because I do some writing, right? I mean, Eric, you've seen some of my teaching in the past. I do some writing on the screen, kind of like this. That way, it kind of helps us focus on what we're talking about. You know, first of all, I mean, let's look at why Finagraphs is doing this. It's cash flow tool. We're intimately involved with banking, right?
You need to share your screen when you're ready. You know that, right?
Yep.
Go ahead. You may continue jabbering. I just want to make sure you don't miss that part.
Yeah, I did.
I sometimes when I'm meeting with clients, because, you know, I'm always virtual and I've got the killer setup. I got this new iMac Pro, in fact. I'm running Mojave, the new Mac OS, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And how do you like that?
It took me down all day yesterday. I couldn't do anything. So, yeah, it's great. But it's beta 1, so what are you going to do?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
Good. No, I'm just saying our relationship with banks, the main goal, you remember in 2008, banks kind of left the market of small business, stopped lending to small businesses because after Dodd-Frank came in, the cost of issuing a loan for $5 million was the same as $50,000. So banks moved upstream, right? They were giving out loans at $5 million and above. Well, that kind of ruled out most of us.
And that's where the alternative financing companies kind of spawned from, yeah?
Exactly, right. When the banks vacated the space, then you got the on decks, the cabbages, the Lendios, the lending clubs, all of those developed and blossomed. And really that's where we started too, right? We started out by saying there's nobody servicing small businesses. Well, now that we're kind of on the backside of the 2008 recession, we're kind of on the backside, people are starting to feel better. Banks are actually coming back into the market. But in order to do that, the regulations haven't changed. They did slightly this past couple of weeks with an executive order, but the cost of compliance is still the same. So the only way a bank can actually issue a loan that's profitable is do things faster. So that's why we created tools.
But come on, Mike, you just said do things faster and bank in the same sentence.
Yeah, right. It's so funny. You go in there and you give them a pile of paper this big and they go behind a curtain and 2 weeks later they come out and say no.
No, not at my bank. Now I bank at Chase and I like their electronic services, but I'm going to tell you right now, okay, I can't even walk in there and open up a savings account for my kid. They tell me to make an appointment, you know, and everything is so automated with those killer machines they have, but it's like, you know, they're so old school. I sat out in front of the bank the other day to sign some documents for 20 minutes because it wasn't open till 9 o'clock. Who doesn't open till 9? Banks still act that way. And, you know, I was talking with Angela about it and she said, well, you know, maybe they would have opened a little sooner if you would have waited. I said, no, they've got these regulations. They won't open at 8:55. They'll open at 9. And if they're open at 8:55, the doors are still locked because they've got all this security stuff, right? And I get that part of it. But seriously, I mean, are banks ever going to truly be able to change? Now, before you answer that question, and make a note that you will answer that.
Okay.
I also have accounts that I've opened online. I was going to open up that savings account for my son at Chase and I got frustrated. So I just went over to Barclays and I opened up an account there and they're giving me 1.65% interest on a savings account for myself and my son. And I transfer the money from Chase and it's rad. I love it.
Yeah.
That's
pretty good. If you can get over 1% on a savings account, that's pretty good.
Right? 1.65. Mm-hmm. It's not bad. Maybe it'll go up more. Okay, go ahead. I'm going to let you continue, but lots of interesting things along those lines right now.
Well, I'll tell you, we're in about 250 banks across the country now, and that's what we've done. We've created what we call high efficiency lending. It goes from the borrower, which is your small business owner, to the bank's underwriting system, where we're allowing the banks to make credit decisions in about 5 minutes, right, and get everything that they need. I mean, it's the most miraculous thing I've ever seen in small business lending. Here's the second part. Just because they can get the information faster and make a decision faster, we also need smarter, more sophisticated small business owners, right? We need them to understand what's happening. So when they apply for the loan, they set themselves up in the best position to be able to qualify, right? And that's kind of what this is about, understanding the speed of cash, because bankers lend on cash flow. That's it. Why do you think I think I'm the expert in cash flow across the country? That's what I do every day. I work with banks, I work with small business owners, and we help them speed up their cash to be able to service debt if they need it. And I say you don't need it. If you don't need it, that's okay. You'll just make more money. I think that's fine too.
It's fascinating because I do a lot of research on this, and as you know, I applied for some loans, partly for various purposes, but I was talking with a Blue Vine rep this morning, and I asked him, how do I raise my line? And he said, well, what is your revenue per month? And I told him, and he said, well, wait 6 weeks and apply. And then you know, as long as everything looks good, you get about 50% of whatever you cash flow each month, what they'll give you as a line. I was like, well, that's interesting because, what they're looking at is if you are showing regular cash flow each month coming into your bank account, they're willing to risk half of it going back out in payments over the course of 6 months, whatever it might be. And that's a really, really accurate and reasonable way to assess a relationship. Now, it's also higher risk because they're not doing what the banks traditionally did, but they're charging you an arm and a leg. And the arm and a leg is actually becoming just an arm. Some of these groups are starting to realize that they can't keep charging this ridiculous interest to compete. Competition starting to push it down. So now we're getting faster, better, and reasonable value on top of it. So the days of cabbage charging, I don't even want to go there. I think it's over. I think it's ending. We have a quick question that says, does this replace Flight? This is now Flight. Flight has become cash flow tool. It's simply a rebranding. So those of you that are using Flight, or when you use Flight logos in your image over here, you see it?
Yeah, this one?
Yeah. Why don't you cross that out? Way over top on cash flow tool. So there's that first question. The second one is, how does this program differ from the competition? Fathom and Float, for example. Oh, I can't wait to hear this answer.
Well, you know what? I mean, Fathom is great. They've even changed the way they present themselves to the market. Fathom is. They are the best in the world. We don't even try to compete with them on charts and graphs, right? I mean, they've got some type of charting engine that, they just look cool. They can dissect information, but they call themselves a reporting tool, right? The analysis is done basically by you mapping to whatever you want to map to. So it still takes you. We try to do what's called high signal, low noise analysis, which means we're not going to just bombard you with information, only the important stuff, only the anomalies, only the things that you should be paying attention to right now, because that's going to impact you currently, not maybe in the future. And Fathom also is kind of a historical look. Here's what you did. Well, guess what? You already made those decisions. You already lived that battle. What we're trying to do is set you up for the next one and look forward into the next 60 days. Float is very similar to Flight. If you like to use spreadsheets and type things in, Float's probably a better option because we do all the work for you. So if you like to connect as an add-on to your QuickBooks account and allow us to look for the anomalies like we do in bank loans, I think we're a better option for those folks that want to actually focus on the conversation and not on the work of doing the math and mapping it into a spreadsheet.
Got it. All right, so take us through the speed of cash, sir. I want to understand. I loved this the last time, but I'm really excited now because I was translating to the service business model. It's going to be interesting to see you doing it for us.
Yeah, and I want to use service as generic, right? It could be a plumber, it could be the accountant, it could service is a service. You're providing a service, and if you remember in the part one, I focused a lot on the inventory model. Whether you're a manufacturer, whether you're a retail, type of or type of business, that's because it's more complex. Believe it or not, when you have that many moving parts, you got inventory, you got AP, you got AR. It's a little bit more complex. But what's interesting is that my business, the hotel staffing company, I lived it, and I'm going to show you the ways that I was able to succeed and how I determined how much was on a line of credit and how I was able to stay ahead of the curve as far as cash flow comes. So,
hey Mike, real quick, somebody's asking, does it integrate with Xero? Not yet?
Not yet, no. Yeah, not yet. Yeah.
What we're doing. Fair enough.
Yeah, in this product, we're actually redoing all of our linkers. We have linkers to Zero, Microsoft Dynamics, Sage, Peachtree. We've got all the
In
large,
other applications, not in this one.
and not in this one. What we're doing with this one is we're trying to increase the speed of information. So we changed the linkers to get more relevant information in a timely basis. And if you look at the QBO version that we just did, and we're going to release a new version of the QBD, we're actually in desktop. We're going to be an add-on. We'll be right inside.
Wait a minute. There's your app has a link to QB Desktop also?
Yes, but here's a disclaimer. It's being rewritten right now, and
Right.
I saw the prototype yesterday where we're actually an add-on inside QB Desktop.
Oh, that's genius. So
QuickBooks.
you're a cloud app. So you won't be a cloud app. You'll actually be an application inside of the desktop, but you'll be pulling data from the cloud. It'll need to be connected.
That's right.
So
That's
you're
right.
you're kind of cloudifying QB Desktop a little bit.
They're working off of early 2000s technology and desktop as far as being able to share data. And, that's why they got rid of Sync Manager, and they've got, and all the problems they had 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. We found a way to ride around that. So, these guys at Microsoft, they can figure any of that stuff out.
You just got a testimonial. It still works great. Even now, my clients are loving it, even though they have to sync the data regularly. Another person said, I would like to have my staff see a demo of this product. Does your sales staff do demos? Well, we're going to do a little demo here today. We also have a demo that's available on schoolofbookkeeping.com from last time. And we probably need to do a little course on this for schoolofbookkeeping.com. I would love to do that. It's not hard to do.
No, and I'll tell you, Eric, what you have a month ago is already old. We're releasing new features every 2 weeks, and what the product is.
What about this? What about this? What about a regular, ongoing kind of let's call it a training or a refresher on what's the latest? Imagine if QBO showed us all of its new stuff every week, every month, and it does, but where do we find that? I'd love to be able to take people and show them what's the latest and greatest, always current. How can we do that? Let's talk about that offline.
Okay, yeah, and I think we've got a venue to do that. We're creating product feature videos almost weekly.
Perfect.
And because I want to show a lot of the product, but I also want to provide value. Eric, if you know anything about me, the way I teach and present, I always like people to leave with something, even if it's not my tool, even if it's not the software. They have something in their arsenal that they can use today, even without software, right? So that's kind of what, as a refresher on the speed of cash. If you remember, I said the business should be like a machine, and it generates cash, and that's its job. And we talked about how inventory days, AR days, and AP days have a relationship, and they form what's called the relationship between them form the financial gap. And the financial gap is the amount of money it takes to run your business, right? That's your working capital. That's the amount of money it takes. And the old or the inventory based business needs inventory plus AR minus AP, and that's your cap day, and that's your financial gap. And then you take your cost of goods sold and make it into a daily number. Cost of goods sold divided by 365, and then multiply that by your gap days, and that tells you how much working capital you need. Now, I don't want to go back and do all of that when they can go see your webinar again, where I walk through step by step how to calculate the financial gap. I'm just giving people a base of reference on what I'm going to talk about next, and that's the service business. So in the service business, you don't have inventory, so that's a zero. We can drop it out because it's a zero. But what you do have is a payable called a payroll, right? You have people that are out there. It's a direct cost. Normally, it's billable hours or something they're working on a job. They're generating money for you. And in my business, in the hotel staffing company, and I'm just going to go through this quickly, Eric, and I can show more about the product. But in the hotel staffing business that I had, I would do work. I would send in an army of employees, we'll say to a Marriott, like I'm in right now, and they would work for 2 weeks straight. At the end of 2 weeks, I would generate an invoice for Marriott, right? So Marriott got the invoice, and then I generated a paycheck for the employees. But if you notice, my money was going out on the paycheck day, but I wasn't getting the money until on average with a Marriott 45 days later, right? So that's the relationship. My money going out versus their money coming in. And that's what we're looking at. So that's why I take AR days and the amount of pay periods that I have to cover during the AR period, right? While I'm waiting for money, how many paychecks do I got to make? So in this case, it was 45 days. I was paying every other week. So that means every other Friday, 14, 28, what's that, 36 days. So I had 3 payroll periods to cover during that time period. So my money's going out, their money's coming in. The difference between my first payroll period and when the money first starts to come in is my financial gap.
So
right?
When will cashflowtool.com have a link directly to Fundbox or Bluevine or OnDeck so it can say, I've got a gap, help me fill it? I would imagine you guys are working towards that.
We have an integration, a third-party integration plan that may not take place till later this year, right? We like for people to get the knowledge first before we try to offer them a solution to a sale, right? We're pretty heavy into education, into providing the knowledge. That's kind of our first role, because even without Fundbox, you can go to your own bank, and that's kind of what we want to do, is set you up for success at the best possible rates.
Well, I'll tell you, tools like this, it reminds me of tools like a Credit Karma kind of a thing, which at some point it was kind of concerning and I thought even kind of silly. And then it started to grow. And then one day it had a link at the bottom and it said unclaimed property. And I clicked on it and I found about, I think it was $700 that was owed to me from stock sales from like Gateway 2000 and other things that I had never claimed. And I got the money, Mike. So,
oh, wow.
So I'm going to tell you right now, if your service someday down the road helps us find opportunity, I don't think any of us are going to be too disappointed about that. So yeah, I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, most likely not. And I tell you what, some of the future plans for this product, and some of them are still under wraps. I can't divulge them, but
sure you can. We're friends here, and it's being recorded. I can edit it.
All right, well,
don't say it. I'm just kidding.
We want to be the credit registry for small business. Credit registry for small business.
Define credit registry.
Think Dun & Bradstreet.
So you want to be an experienced business, Dun & Bradstreet replacement or alternative?
Kind of that sits in between the small business owner and their customers, right? Where you can do credit checks on your customers, or the bank can have easier access to you as well. So it acts more like a credit registry.
Interesting.
It's just one of the ideas. There's a lot more that goes into it, but I think the overarching theme that people can get their heads around is that helping people become, richer. Help people become richer. That's really what we're trying to do.
More cash flow stable. By the way, Cynthia Diaz, who's a client and a friend, is responding. I don't normally mention people's names, but I'm going to mention hers because I'm going to put her on the spot. She's just said it's actually pretty self-explanatory once you download and sync the client. So Mike, here's what I'm going to do. Cynthia is an Ignite client. Cynthia, your homework will be to work with me. We are going to build a demo of cashflowtool.com, and maybe we'll do like a 3-month series where we update it every month, and that'll be on School of Bookkeeping. Cynthia, raise your hand if you're cool with that. Not there it is. Okay, perfect. Okay, we're in. So that's going to happen.
You know what's interesting about that? What she said is we think is our unique differentiating proposition value, right? It's if you go to Fathom, you go to Float, you go to the other folks, there's a lot of work to set up every client. Here, you just give us the name. Who is this? Because you can find them on their dashboard and say link, and that's it, right? There's not a lot of typing. There's not a lot of data entry. You can literally have information in your hand in minutes from signing up for your account.
I think most of the people on this call right now are like, would this guy just shut up and show us the product already? But we'll get there. Let's try to do a speed read on this part, because I think if they see the product, a lot of this will just come clear to them. It's so cool.
I would agree. All right, so just as a recap, when I talked about the 45 days, I sent an invoice. I got paid 45 days later, but I made 3 payroll periods. And that's basically what we're talking about in the service business, is how many, when you calculate your accounts receivable days, how many payroll periods fall in between that period. That's how much working capital you need. for my business, we'll say I used $100,000 of payroll, right? 1, 2, 3. That means I needed $300,000 or access to $300,000. Now, when I got paid, I went back and paid what I drew for the first payroll, right? That's how you have to work with your line of credit, is as soon as you get paid, pay off the line of credit first, and then use the rest for, operating expenses and profit. So
now, if your line of credit charges you an upfront fee, obviously paying it off and then drawing on it again is not necessarily in your best interest. You want to try to find lines of credit where you can move money in and out quickly. There are a couple. Are you familiar with any that you'd recommend in terms of banking? I know you like the banking ones. With the bigger banks, you can pull from a line and pay off a line, move money around, and everything's instant. You stop paying interest. You don't pay fees. Alternative lenders tend to make that a little more difficult. They like to get paid for 60 days before they let you pay back.
Yeah, I think you mentioned two good ones, right? I mean, Blue Vine and Fundbox. Fundbox is really short term. If you need things for like a week, 5 weeks, something like that, if you need a revolver that goes on and on forever, I don't know the Fundbox is the best for you.
Well, it's for this scenario right here.
There you go. Yeah,
Yep.
as long as you know that when you get paid, you should go back and pay down the line.
Yeah.
Right. That's the rule there. So as soon as you get paid, pay it down. Otherwise, I think you could put yourself in a situation where you're paying more interest. So make sure you're making that payment first before you move on.
Got it.
Cool. All right, so that's the driving gear. And usually what I try to do, and I know we're kind of short on time, people want to see the product, but the two things that I look at for driving the business is, am I pricing it right? And, I do that by finding my break-even point and determining, two things. To find break-even, you need two things. You need to know how much does it cost to run this business and what gross profit percentage do I need? And those are two things you can find your break-even. So we'll say 25%, and I need $10,000 a month to break even. I want to be zero. In that case, how much do I have to sell to actually break even, pay for my operating expense? So in this case, I need 10 minus 10 equals 0, and 10 is 25% of 250. I'm sorry. 10 is 25.
What are you drawing with? Is that a Microsoft Surface?
Yeah. Is that terrible? You don't like it?
It is really cool.
Yeah.
It's just super simple. You just write right on the screen, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, it really helps, because I'm a visual thinker a lot of times. If I see it, I can think about it. So, yeah. So I think that's the easier way for me to do it. So, yeah, it's 40. Sorry.
Cool.
So that's 40. So if I was looking at this, I'm like, I have to charge at least $40 to be able to break even on this product if I want 25%. So that would be somebody's cost. What you look at is the fully loaded labor cost, right? And in this exercise I've got below at $54, how much would we charge for an hour of that person's time if it cost me $54 and I wanted 25%?
Yep.
Right. So that's my fully loaded cost at 45. How much do I have to spend? You can ignore this for your pricing conversation, but in this case, this is a Sudoku puzzle, right? If I want 25%, and how do I know that? Well, everyone else gets 25%, or historically, I've always made 25% gross profit. And if you remember me teaching in other places, gross profit is the only dollars you can spend, not your sales. So I always focus on gross profit. But if I want to make 25%, because the industry average is 25%, that means 54 is 75% of sales. 100 minus 75 equals 25. And that means I would charge $72, and I would make, what is that, 14? Right. 18.
7,
18.
7, 12. Is that a 4? Yeah. 18.
Yeah, 18. So I'd make $18. But
I wasn't sure what 12 minus Y equals.
12 minus Y?
So the surface is great, but you have to slow down, I think.
Okay. Or
draw 4. Okay.
I went to business school, not art school.
They didn't have surfaces in business school, did they?
Yeah, that's right. The most important thing is saying that I pay so much per hour in salary. Here's my benefits. Here's my L&I or workman's comp. Here's my matching taxes, those type of things. The fully loaded cost we'll say is $54. 54 is 75% of what I should charge, and that means I should charge 72. That's the first thing you have to do in service business is get that right? You have to get that right. So then the second thing I do is what's the utilization rate or realization rate? And this is saying of the employees I bring on. And this is how you know when to, and I wrote a blog article on this about utilization rates saying, when do you pull the trigger? When do I fire somebody or lay somebody off, or when do I hire somebody? And it's all based on this. Utilization rates is there's 2,080 total hours in a year, or 2,000 if you're given 2 weeks paid time off, right? 50 weeks, it's 52 versus 50. That's what these are, 52 weeks versus 50, or not 80, 50. Now, with that, you should be able to bill at least 1,800 hours of their time, right? So when you're staffing it out and you're putting your staffing plans together, 1,800 hours should be billable. You're saying, well, Mike, why isn't it 2,000? Well, because you got a thing as training, you got paid time off, you've got sick leave, you got things like that that happen that we have to do as employers. But your target should be 1,800 hours billable. That's kind of your utilization rate. Now, you take your total billed hours, which means how many that I put him out there versus the total billable, 1,800, and you should work on 75 to 80%. You should have every employee working at about that 75, 80%. If they're lower than that, maybe you're overstaffed. If they're up towards the 80 or 85, maybe you should hire somebody because you might be burning them out. Does that make sense, Eric?
Yes, it does. I'm not sure what's ringing.
Something in your office.
No, you know what it is. I know what it is. Go ahead.
All right. So anyway, that's the two components of making more money in a service business is how much are you utilizing the billable hours? And again, that 75 to 80 is the target. Lower than that, maybe you have too many people. Higher than that, maybe you should consider adding. So,
hey, Mike, somebody's asking if you'll be at Scaling New Heights.
I am, yeah, and I'm actually I'm presenting, I think, the 7-minute conversation that accountants should have with their clients. I think I'm presenting.
You have a booth also? Will they be able to come up and talk to you in a booth?
Yep, yeah, we're at a booth as well. We'll have demos. We'll have, matter of fact, we're the old T-Sheets party. We're now part of a group. Neat, Fujitsu, Cloud Runner, and us are taking over the T-Sheets party this year.
Oh my goodness gracious! So it's really going to be ugly now, huh?
It's going to be really ugly, yeah. Because I mean, they're going to let me out of the cage for at least that night.
I will. I might actually come. Angela's going to be there, which I have to stay home with the kids. But please do not go drinking with my fiance. Okay. I need you guys both to be productive.
If anything, I will go drinking with her because she'll keep me in line.
Yeah, I don't know about that. All right.
All right. So, and this is in your other one. I won't go into this, but days cash on hand is also telling you how much cash you should have available. And of course, we want to strive for 45 days or more. But here's a legend.
What do you mean by 45 days? Enough to cover all expenses for 45 days?
Yeah, let's assume, and this goes directly to seasonality, right? You know, in my business, the hotel staffing business, believe it or not, we were slow in the summertime. So I had to, you know, be able to make sure I can meet my operating expenses through the summertime. So 45 days is about a good enough number if you have low or small sales. And that's the operating expenses. So if it's $10,000 a month to operate, in this case, I should have 15,000 on hand. It's kind of a good number to pick.
How many of the people, raise your hand if you actually take the time to consider how much cash on hand you have day in, day out, month after month, year over year. I'd like to see. I'll bet most of you don't. I bet most of you are just trying to make a living and keeping enough money in the bank to pay bills and the rest of it to pay your life. And yeah, not a lot of hands came up. I know one that came up that I was expecting. So, Mike, I would probably say that this type of planning and having the foresight and the overview of your cash position is probably very important for the sanity component, the anxiety, the stress. I mean, you talk about it, but I don't think a lot of people are really as focused on this particular slide as they will be or have been on others. And yet they probably should be more so. Because if this is your focus, you're not going to have those issues. You're not going to need cashflowtool.com.
Well, I wouldn't say that. You're going to always need it.
Yeah, I know.
No, you're right. I mean, this is the part that people, you know, they focus on the bank statement, right? They're saying, oh, I have money or I don't. And that's really all it tells you.
Yeah.
What I want to get people to do or help people do is understand that there's actually a methodology to how much cash it needs to fuel the beast, and the beast is your business, right? That thing gobbles up money every single month, and what we're trying to do is put you in a position to know about it sooner so you can act faster, right? That's basically what we're doing. And any of these calculations, you don't have to worry about it. It's already in the tool, right? I mean, we're already building these in and putting it in simple enough language where we're not saying, AR receivables. We're saying, hey, these people owe you money, go collect. Or we're giving you a bright red, signal on a calendar saying, hey, you're going to run out of money, on this day. Here's some things to do to take action. And I don't know if you saw the latest feature update where you can now
Today, this morning there was an announcement, right?
Yeah. There was, and it's some what if scenarios that went in are just fantastic. I mean, now you can.
Well, why don't we take a look?
All right, let's do that.
Okay.
I'll go back out to. All right.
Minimize.
All right. Let's see here. I'm actually in the tool itself. I might have to log back in.
You're not showing it though. You're showing PowerPoint.
I'm showing PowerPoint.
Yeah. What'd you do? Did you just share an app?
Yeah, share
desktop. So you got to unshare and then share your whole desktop.
I think I can do this. What about that?
That worked. You did it.
Okay. All right. So basically, if I'm an accountant and you log in, you're going to get a visual like this. This is the dashboard. Think about a dashboard of all my clients. And what you got is who they are: Brandon's, Business A, First Choice Carpet Cleaners, Joe's Ski Shop. But you've got that all down the side. And then you got a snapshot instantly of their calendar. So if I'm the accountant or the advisor, I'm like going, hey, who's got problems? I'm looking at, oh, this guy's got a problem this month and he's got a big problem.
So wait, stop right there. So basically as a bookkeeping professional, accounting professional, they could just have a slew of these and they could open this up every morning and look for red.
Look for red.
And then get on the phone or send an email to that particular client and help them get out of the red.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? We're saying red because that's kind of our default color is green to red. Green is good. Red is bad.
We all accept it.
Customize any of these. If you're like, well, I don't like green or red, I want purple and pink. Purple and pink.
Have you been shopping for wedding attire? Because that's what that's
Yeah, I think I just created a new color.
Purple and pink.
Customize all these colors.
I'm making a note of that.
I don't think I've ever done anything like that. That's a purple and pink.
Purple and pink.
So, but basically, I mean, all these colors can be customized to something that stands out to you, right? You're like going, not only that, it doesn't have to be zero. Red usually right now, our default is zero. Hey, you're going to run out of money, but you can also customize the threshold of when we tell you. Like I've got some clients that says, I want to know when I'm below $20,000. Right. So that we're going to show them every time that they go below $20,000.
Now, is this actual bank balance or projected based on expenses and what have you and so on and so forth?
This is all predictive.
Yeah.
Right? So we start with the bank balance, right? Whatever it is that day, whatever QuickBooks that day, and then project out. And we're saying, okay, based on our algorithm, it's called Cash Learn Technology and it's patent pending right now. But we are doing absolute predictions of every transaction that comes in or out, which means we can predict when you're going to make a payment, for your cell phone bill.
So the more you use this, the more it learns.
Absolutely. You got to remember what people get afraid sometimes of AI or machine learning. All that is a probability table, believe it or not. What's the chance that this is going to happen versus that, right? And I don't know on the dashboard, I'll show you one more thing, but I think I need to get into the detail of this.
We're getting hammered with questions right now. You let me know when you want to answer a couple.
Okay. Well, and I'll just show you over here. It's just an executive summary of things, so you don't have to go into the detail. But if I want to go to the detail, I can. I just click on activity feed or click somewhere, and then I start to see all the things that are happening. So let's answer some questions before I start on some new stuff here.
First one is, I love the payroll piece for tracking cash flow. Is the staff utilization included in the program?
Not yet. This, you got to remember, Eric made me build this program. But generally what happens, folks, and I'll be humble about it, when I teach things, they become features. right? So you'll see the things develop as we put utilization rates and things in there. Here's the issue with like utilization rates. We don't know how many employees you got, or what's billable versus not. So in this portion up here, Eric, this you see where I can post a message. You gotta remember, this is like Facebook for your team. So you, Angela, anybody, Micah, everybody on your team can be talking about what's happening in the business, and I can post a message to them, or I can post a message to my client, set a reminder. But all of these tabs up here, we've got a customized calculator coming in, where things that we can't see, we'll say in QuickBooks, you can enter in, and we will save the formula going forward, right? So if you want to know revenue per square foot, there's no way I can know how many square foot is in a restaurant, right, that you own. So you'll be able to put in that number, and we'll be able to save it going forward. So that's one of the features that we're working on right now, is how to build a custom calculator. So if I teach something, we can build it in, and people can save it and use it as part of their workspace.
Fascinating. Okay, we got another one. What training is available with the accountants program?
Okay, the trainings we got resources galore. I've got 3 different pages. We've got a getting started page. We've got a resource page for partners, where we actually do videos for you. You can always get one-on-one coaching, and every email that goes out is a schedule a demo or schedule a coaching session if you need that.
So if one of these people goes to cashflowtool.com, one of our guests goes to cashflowtool.com/wow right now and signs up, you're giving them a free copy for themselves.
That's right.
Okay, so that go to cashflowtool.com/wow, WOW, sign up, and then Mike will make it free for you. Now, above and beyond that, if they do that, they can then sign up all their users using the 74 Systems coupon code and get 25% off. Now, beyond that, can they then reach out and be trained directly by somebody as handsome and qualified as yourself?
It might even be me. I mean, I do these things all day long, right? I mean, if my team is
yes. So the answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
So okay, let me say that again. Can you get your pen out, please?
Me?
I want you to write bullet point 1 on the screen is cashflowtool.com/wow.
Let's see.
You can use a sticky note. That's fine. I don't care how you do it.
You can see that?
I can see it.
All right, what is it?
Okay, well, you're teaching us. There you go. Number 1.
Okay.
Oh, you can type it, I guess. Oh, that's even better. Okay, number 1, cashflowtool.com/wow. This is I love this feature. I'm gonna get this. .com/wow. Okay. That will get them signed up, and then they email you to make it free.
Yeah, you got to tell me. We normally just put their accounting business. So if you're Angie at Complete Accounting, normally a Complete Accounting becomes the free account. But just to make sure, email me.
And your email address is?
It's Mike at Finagraph, and you guys get a free account for your business to play with and work around with.
And then if they want 25% off to sign up their customers, they can go to that same URL and use the coupon code 74 Systems. So let's make that number 3.
Yep, 74 Systems gives them 25% off. 74 Systems is the promo code.
Yep. And then lastly, number 4 is become a cash flow pro. And we don't necessarily even, yeah, you can put it if you want. Become a cash flow pro, and that'll be for training purposes in the future. That we're going to be we'll send you all an email about the testing and certification process for cash flow pro. Get that certification, put it up on your website next to all the other ones, and start offering this as a service. I think they could sign up 50% of their existing client base on a nominal fee. They either pay for this themselves and wholesale and then resell it to them and then charge, X amount per month to provide the service above, what you do. You provide the answers. They then provide the interaction and the explanation and the analysis further above and beyond.
Okay. And don't forget, Eric, this is also mobile, right? So it isn't just a desktop application. The big value is that you are speaking with your client, you don't even have to do the work. We're going to do a push notification to them on a regular basis of things that are happening. And you just kind of sit back.
So that's the next question. The next question is, are there automatic notifications to the client when cash goes below the threshold?
There are. We have push notifications for all kinds of different things. You can turn them on, turn them off. You can have an email notification, just a daily digest, right? So some people, I've noticed users are choosing, send me the email, and they'll just see the email in the morning and not get the push notifications on their phone. Because if you're like me, I get notifications all day long about different things, you know. So some people like the daily digest, and some people like the push notifications.
What I would like is, there's a tool called ifttt.com. Have you heard of that?
No.
If this, then that. And basically what it allows you to do is, for example, every time your cash flow is nearing the red, your lights would blink in the house.
Okay.
Your horn would beep in your car. There's all kinds of interesting things it can do. It'd be nice to have a little light in your office that turns on when your cash flow is, or you could put a hue bulb and the color of the light would reflect your current cash flow status of the day.
That would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be cool? I love it.
That'd be awesome. Hey, just so people know that when we're going out, we're looking for anomalies and things that are happening. It's just a Facebook style feed that you can comment back and forth on. Like, hey, call this person. How come we haven't called? Sometimes our cash is slow because we don't see it, right? And this is actually getting people to take action. If you look on the cash flow calendar off to the right side here, when I click on a day, I see kind of the detail of what's happening, right? In this case, Ace Cleaning, we got a payment going out. And if I hover over the confidence, we're like, hey, 80% confident. You've been doing this in the past. We look at 25 months. The more often you do it, the more confident we become, because we can see the pattern. But the thing I like is we can say, hey, now I can move this, right? I can just hide it. Watch what happens. I can say, what if I don't pay it that day? All of a sudden now I'm in the green, right? You see how if I don't pay that, it doesn't happen. But then I can also add it where I can add it into another day and see what happens. This is good if you want to add people. Maybe I got a contract coming in. I can just add items going in or coming out and see how it's going to affect cash flow in the future. So I mean, that's one of the most coolest thing I've seen in a while. And then, of course, if you go to settings, I can revert all the changes and go back to the actual, and then in future iterations, you'll be able to save different scenarios. What if I get this contract? What if I hire 5 more employees and the like?
Love it. All right. Mike, I think we've got to wrap it up here.
Sure. And again, if they come through, you'll get a first email. It's a welcome email. Schedule coaching, and I'll go through every feature with you about how to use it. Go through scenarios about how this might be more impactful with a conversation with the client. But it's super simple to set up and super easy. So what I would say is, put it in front of them and let me help you.
So once again, go to cashflowtool.com/wow, sign up, get your free account just to make sure everything's cool and you can build a relationship and find somebody to ask questions to and get some training. Email mike@finagraph.com. Tell him who you signed up as, your email address. He'll make sure your account's converted properly and also say hello. Maybe he'll even send you some swag. Use the coupon code 74systems for purchases for your clients. So when you want to sign up your 500 clients, you can save 25% off of each one of their recurring subscriptions by using 74systems as their coupon code. And then keep an eye out for the Cashflow Pro certification invitation that'll come soon. All right, real quickly, up next, we've got which cloud storage provider should I use? This is a very, very interesting piece because there's a lot of people right now out there that are looking for whether or not they can use the new Google Drive file stream, or is Box really, go ahead, I want to hear this.
In your Cashflow Tool account, there's a terabyte of data storage. You can just put it on each client. Bam!
We're going to add that one too. Maybe you'll join me. Wait a minute. So they get a terabyte storage where?
If you go to the account, it says activity feed and then documents. There's a document center already in there that you can actually share documents back and forth. You get a notification saying, hey, Joe uploaded a document. You comment on it, but it's
so wait, this could be used as their portal between them and their client?
That's right. And then you can invite a banker to just grab the documents he wants if he wants. And
wait, forget about cashflowtool.com. But no, kid. But I mean, that alone, it would be a reason to sign up for this thing, because then they can have that direct relationship with their client. They wouldn't, Cynthia, we'll talk about that in our meeting soon. Good stuff, Mike. Okay. Also, I'm going to ask another poll question, and then we'll have one more because we need to ask 4 to get you your CPE. So now this question is really along the lines of, will cashflowtool.com actually help you make more money? And I just want to know, are you looking for ways to increase revenue? This is a great way, I think. We also have Mastering Google Chrome and Google Search coming up. For those of you that use these tools for whether it be a QBO session or various applications, juggling and dancing between the client apps on your desktop and Chrome apps, or other browsers, and using search methodically and effectively. We're going to show you how to do that type of stuff really, really well. I've got one more poll question, but I need you to finish responding to this one first. So if you could, those of you that are here for CPE, if you don't respond, you will not get CPE, so make sure you do. Those of you that are not, we appreciate if you would anyhow. And the last poll question is, do you fear a cash flow shortage in your own business? This was the Speed of Cash 2, focused on service businesses, again, with Mike Mylan of Finagraph. Mike, we appreciate that. Just a heads up, we did commit during this event that Cynthia Diaz, who is a CPA, sharp woman, she knows her stuff. Her company Solorient.com, which doesn't have a website yet, and she knows it because we're working on it, but it will soon. She is going to do a nice little demo piece for us. We might call it a demobinar. I don't know. We're coming up with something, but we're going to create a new content type for demoing products for our partners. And Cynthia's going to do one for cashflowtool.com on schoolofbookkeeping.com. So keep an eye out for that. Mike, thank you so much. Any last words?
Yeah, Lorraine wanted to know which one to pick. You want to pick the one, if you're an accountant, choose the option that says I work with my clients, right? Instead of I own a business, you want to be the one that works with your clients so we can identify you as an accountant.
There you go.
So, and by the way, I'm in Vegas at AICPA Engage. Come see me there, or Scaling New Heights. Let's hook up. Come see me.
You'll find Mike either at his booth, and after hours, you will find him in the lobby bar, carrying on, entertaining, laughing and smiling. Mike's a fun guy to hang out with, I assure you.
Always talking cash flow. That's why they're starting to call me Cash Flow Mike.
That's awesome. Cashflow Mike, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, thank you so much. Huge attendance. I look forward to seeing all of you on our next WOWbinar. We have recorded this event and we will have it up on schoolofbookkeeping.com within 48 hours. Thanks all. We'll see you next Friday.
Eric, once again, thank you, buddy. Looking forward to it.
You bet. Take care, man.